Imagine spending like exactly $2,100 on a metal box whose only job, literally its only job, is to display test patterns on a screen.
Right. Sounds totally
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. So today we are taking a deep dive into the invisible hyper-specialized tools that make those massive modern visual displays possible. And our source material today is just a product page for something called the VPI MONTEST-HD4K.
Which is it's a 4K Ultra HD HDMI video test pattern generator and analyzer.
That is a mouthful.
It really is. And I mean, it sounds completely absurd to spend that kind of money on a testing device, until you actually look at the sheer scale of the technology it's meant to support.
Okay, let's unpack this. $2,000 for test patterns. Because most of us, we just plug in an HDMI cable, hit power, and if the
Yeah.
menu pops up, we figure, hey, the TV works.
Right, after your living room, sure.
But looking at the specs for this VPI unit, it outputs a 4K by 2K resolution at 60 Hertz with something called 4.4.4 color. Plus, it tests both HDMI and VGA, ships with the latest firmware, has a 1-year warranty, and it generates over 100 different video patterns.
Yep, over 100.
Like, I get that high-end displays are complicated, but why over 100 patterns? Isn't one standard color grid enough to know if a TV works?
Well, what's fascinating here is that 4K displays are incredibly complex, right? You aren't just checking if the bulb turns on. These 100-plus patterns stress test different vulnerabilities,
Wait, vulnerabilities like what?
like pixel alignment, color accuracy, and refresh rates. Take that 4.4.4 color spec you mentioned.
Yeah.
That basically means the device ensures the screen isn't compressing color data. So a specific test pattern will push raw, uncompressed color to the absolute limit just to see if, say, bright red text bleeds into a blue background.
Oh, wow. So instead of like a simple eye exam at the optometrist,
Right.
it's more like putting the display in a visual wind tunnel to see where it breaks.
Yeah, exactly. That's a much better way to look at it. Another pattern might flash high contrast black and white grids at 60 frames per second.
Just to see if it drops a frame.
Right. The goal there is to see if the video processor drops even a single frame, which translates to a microstutter for the viewer. You are stress testing all these things before the screen is permanently bolted to a wall.
Okay, that makes sense for the mechanics, but let's talk about the buyers.
Yeah.
Because looking through the surrounding catalog on this retailer site, which is the HDTVSupply,
Yeah.
we are looking at massive commercial environments here.
Oh, absolutely huge.
Yeah, we're talking sports bar distribution systems that connect up to 160 TVs simultaneously. And they use these massive 160 by 160 HDMI matrix switchers. So it's like being a foundation inspector for a skyscraper, right? You don't just wire 160 TVs and cross your fingers.
No, you really can't. And that's where the financial logic clicks into place. A matrix switcher of that size is basically the central nervous system for a huge venue.
Right.
It's routing dozens of different live video feeds to hundreds of specific screens at the exact same time.
Which sounds like a total nightmare to troubleshoot if something goes wrong.
Oh.
But there's a huge contradiction in the source that's, well, it's throwing me off a bit.
Oh, what's that?
If the same site sells a mini NTI 4K test generator for just $105, why drop $2,000 on the VPI?
Well, think about the stakes here. Imagine a contractor wiring a high-end Vegas sports book. Based on this catalog, an NTI 32 by 32 matrix switcher alone costs like $11,850.
Geez, almost $12,000 just for the router.
Exactly. When you are responsible for a multi-million-dollar installation, a $100 consumer tool just isn't going to accurately simulate the bandwidth of a live, uncompressed 4K sports broadcast.
Ah, I see. So the $2,000 tester is basically incredibly cheap insurance.
Precisely. It prevents a catastrophic, highly public failure. I mean, a blackout during the Super Bowl isn't just an inconvenience, right?
No, definitely not.
It costs a venue serious money and reputation. You need industrial-grade testing equipment to guarantee an industrial-grade installation won't buckle under pressure.
Yeah, that puts it in perspective. The flawless video walls and sports bar displays you see every day, they don't just happen by accident.
No, not at all.
They are the result of this rigorous, invisible testing ecosystem using highly specialized gear, like the VPI MONTEST-HD4K.
Right. It's the silent scaffolding of our digital world. We really only notice it when it breaks, which is exactly why tools like this exist, so we never have to.
So true. So next time you are staring at a massive, perfectly synced video wall in a public space, ask yourself what other invisible hyper-niche tools were required to build the modern world around you before you ever arrived.